Welcome back to Guru Talk. I'm Dave Palumbo here at Arnold Week 2020, and I'm joined by my good friend Milos Sarcev, and we're going to have a great show today. Hey, Milos, how's it going over there in California?
Yeah, great. It's good to be back in California as we talk about it. It's a scare nowadays, traveling around.
I know, you're a Chinese guy too. I hope you don't have coronavirus.
Yes, and I have to say I'm wearing a t-shirt of my good friend Lu Chen Hui. He's supposed to be here with me, and we're supposed to go to Ohio, introduce him basically to people in America, but he couldn't come, unfortunately. This coronavirus is a really serious thing.
Well, what do you think? They canceled FIBO already. I mean, FIBO's not till April. That obviously is pretty serious. That's one of the biggest trade shows in the world,
Yes, but let me tell you, I'm predicting they're going to cancel Olympic Games.
You think
which
so?
Is
wow.
I mean, just think about it. It's spreading all over the place.
Yeah.
Athletes cannot really train regularly. How they're going to compete? So there is a scare also for Olympic Games. But yeah, I heard that FIBA is just rescheduled for October.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's around the Olympia time, so I don't know how that's going to run. But are these companies going to want to spend so much money, like 1 week after the next? But hey, I hope everything's done by the Olympia time. These viruses, luckily, usually run their cycles. They don't just last and last and last for 10 years. They usually run a year cycle or something like that, and usually, hopefully, they'll disappear. I hear they actually already have a vaccine for it, but they're testing out.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Let's just have a good Arnold Classic. I mean, we talk about a lineup, and it's probably one of the strongest lineups in history. It's pretty much Miss Olympia lineup, and I can't wait to see a show.
Yeah. Now, today's topic is going to be Big Ramy. Obviously, Guru Talk, we like to talk about different guru techniques. So I wanted to do a little exercise in how we would actually, you or I, if we were training Big Ramy, and neither one of us have ever trained Big Ramy, so this is a good topic to do. How would you prepare Big Ramy for the Arnold Classic? Take me through his diet you would put him on. Take me through the workouts, cardio, drug regimens. I want to know how Milos would prepare Big Ramy for the Arnold Classic.
We talked about 2018 Olympia at the RXMuscle review of the Olympia, and I said this about Ramy. Ramy just needs to come slice and dice and pay attention to the detail. Mm-hmm. He has the most wonderful structure. I mean, this wide shoulders, small waist, and then extreme flaring legs that you can't believe. If this body gets a detail and gets a striations, and I think we even touch a subject. Can you do that? Yeah, I absolutely believe in the type of training. They're going to emphasize this isotension, peak contraction, squeezing. God knows he doesn't need more size.
No.
I mean, he's gonna stand there on a lineup and dwarf probably anyone. And he's blessed with that small waist and good abs.
Right.
We've seen at the Olympia there was maybe 3 guys with the good abs. And I think abs, center of attention. If you have a chiseled deep abs, immediately you jump into the eyes of the judges.
Right.
Then you have shoulders like Ramy, and then legs like Tom Platz or Quadzilla, Mustafa Mohammed. This is like exceptional quads. Yeah. It's still lacking little detail. I do believe that Ramy actually doesn't know how to present them. There is like some posing techniques because I see the separation. He just doesn't know how to emphasize them to be deeper.
Yeah.
But how would I train him? A guy doesn't need more size. I would have him peak contraction, time after time. Have a full range of motion, of course, and then shorten the muscle and make him hold. I don't know if you watch my videos, and I know I'm being ridiculed many times. My giant sets, I don't do just giant sets. I use giant sets as that metabolic stress type of hypertrophy, and quality-wise. Mm-hmm. So Ramy does most muscular, for example, and there is no striations on the chest.
Let me stop you for a second, Milos, because what you're basically saying, and I believe this too, is some guys will put size on very, very easily. Their muscles hypertrophy easily, but they're not getting the grainy, three-dimensional look to the muscle. I use Kai Green as an example because Kai Green has this like multi-dimensional looking muscle. It's not just big; it's actually curved and grooved and lines in it. Ramy doesn't seem to have that. And I know you're saying that some of this could be because he doesn't know how to present the muscle, but is some of it due to training? Do you believe that you can train a certain way and get that type of detail?
Yes, I mean, look, this is what I'm going to tell you. Let's look Kai Green, anatomic chart, cross striations, feathers on the quads, lats. Oh my God, it's anatomic chart. Then let's look Ramy. There's no detail there, and there's no detail on the back. It's just fairly some separation, but there's no striations anywhere. Quads, so much muscle. There is no lateralis and medialis feathered. Why? I really don't think that he's squeezing the muscle. He's training, lifting the weights. I keep talking about it. You can lift the weight, or you can contract and move that weight with the muscle. If you do bodybuilding style, you're going to get that quality. If you're just lifting the weights, more than likely you're not going to get this if you're genetically not predispositioned.
Right.
You see some guys that just have a striated delts, striated chest before they even start training.
Yeah, you're right. Now I'm going to stop you one second because I'm going to ask, I wanted to go to a controversial area here. Some people, and I've heard suggest this, and there's definitely evidence to suggest that it's possible, that a lot of these guys, especially the guys out in the oxygen gym area, are doing shots in all the muscle groups, and it's making them swell, but they're losing all the graininess and the definition of the muscles. Do you agree with that? Disagree? Do you think that could be part of Ramy's problem?
1,000,000%. If he's doing it, then this is a problem, because you're looking at the guy that is guilty of using a synthol. I ruined my career, basically.
Not even synthol. It's some kind of water-based, thing that's blowing up the muscles. And you know what the funny thing is? Ramy doesn't even need to use that. He's the biggest guy already,
Yes, but okay, site enhancement oil or whatever. If it's not oil, it's water-based, doesn't matter. We used back in the day aciclin in the 90s.
Right.
And aciclin for Mabalon was very, very good. It's actually, made your muscle look and appear harder. Yeah. And then once this is pulled off, then synthol came about. I'm sure you talked to Chris Clark.
Yeah.
He's the first one to develop it. I was guilty of using it with that idea, okay, volumize it. But as soon as you volumize it, you lose the quality. If oxygen gym guys are using this, for sure you're going to never see a single striation on them. When muscle moves, like they open up, you can see the feathers, biceps is, working, and you can watch them pose, and the shit is not happening. They're probably using something.
Yeah. But I'm saying I think they're using it in multiple body parts. People are suggesting quads, because Ramy's quads at the last Olympia, not obviously in 18, not 19, wasn't in 19. They looked very billowy, but they were almost like reddish looking, and they didn't really have the quality. I remember when he won the New York Pro that first year, he wasn't 100% dialed in. He was probably 95%, but he had striations in his quads. So I'm wondering if that's what's going on. But I do believe the training can definitely influence that, because I think a lot of these guys don't go into that pain zone where they're really activating all those fibers and getting that density. I know that I was big in 1996. I was probably one of the biggest amateurs out there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until 2001 or 2 that I started having good quality separated 3D muscle, so I might not have gotten any bigger on the scale, but the quality of my muscle changed a lot over those years.
But let's just face it. Anybody that comes into the bodybuilding, okay, you're first time in the gym, what are you supposed to do? Lift weights. Yeah. So you learn technique, how to do the bench press, how to do the squats. Right. The last thing that you think about is, squeezing the muscle. No, you just want to push as much weight. And if your mind is there in the bench press, just push that sucker off my chest,
right.
There's no way that you're thinking, okay, contract the pecs, squeeze the pecs. Same thing as for legs. I really, once I came to America and I had all these machines, and there was Nautilus. I mean, for example, chain leg extension Nautilus, first generation. Oh my God. If you squeeze hard enough on that one, within a couple of months, you're going to start getting striations.
Yeah.
I was just amazed. I was looking at my physique, and every time I train legs, like, hold on. When I squeeze for a couple of seconds, there's a little bit more detail. And the next, and here I am, I created super feathered quads. squeezing like life out of it.
Right. Do you think that that's because when you squeeze like that in a peak contraction that you're activating more fibers that you normally would not activate otherwise?
So not that they're just muscle fibers, other muscle fibers. The one that you're targeting, what is maximal lengthening, maximal shortening. If you don't squeeze completely, you don't have that maximal contraction.
Yeah.
They talk about time under the tension. No, it's supposed to be time under maximal tension.
Right.
So it's a different level. I can squeeze a little bit more, right? Mm-hmm. And I see this with many guys. You tell them squeeze, they squeeze it, but they don't squeeze juice out of the lemon, so to speak. I tell them, like in every rep. No, seriously. So if I would train Ramy, I would tell him in each and every rep, try pretty much to fail on each rep.
Right.
Obviously, not gonna fail on the first rep, but I would give him enough weight that maybe normally he can do for 20 reps, but make him squeeze for 4 or 5 seconds each time. Right. Within 6-7 reps, he's gonna be failing, but he's gonna have that crazy muscle contraction and fatigue the muscle, which is the reason why we came to the gym in the first place.
Sure. I also noticed that something that really helped my development a lot was when I really focused a lot on the eccentric portion of the movement. When I would squat, let's say I could squat 600 pounds when I was for 6 reps at my max. With 400 pounds, I would lower the weight so slowly that people would think I was getting stuck. I would pause in the bucket below parallel, and I would squeeze everything on the way up, because for me that weight wasn't super heavy, but the eccentric portion was damaging the fibers so severely. I felt it, I knew it, but I could handle the weight, and I felt like I got so much more out of it. And obviously the bigger I got, the better my mind-muscle connection was, obviously because I had more muscle there. But that's when I really felt that I hit that sweet spot of, oh, I get it. I feel what I'm supposed to be feeling, control that negative portion, and then lock out and squeeze the positive, or the positive motion. I think that's what people are not doing nowadays. You're right. They're just going through the motions to get the exercise done.
Yes, and maybe they're even calculating like 4 seconds down, 1 second at the bottom, explosive up, and whatever, peak contraction for a second. But that eccentric portion, like you said, it's creating muscle damage. Number one thing in muscle hypertrophy. Arthur Jones did it. Mike Menzer, Dorian emphasized that eccentric. Yes. I don't know if you've seen my videos. I would like to do prolonged 10-second eccentric.
Wow.
Usually. And sometimes I would do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, right? But I also, contrary to many people, I believe in extending concentric. Also, when it's peak contraction, why squeeze just for 2 seconds? You squeeze for 3, 4, 5. I even do the 10-second squeezes. And that would bring me to the next point also, training Ramy for the show. So the same principle of a training and squeezing back in the day, in the 90s, Sean and Kevin and Chris Cormier, Flex, we were all posing all the time. And posing means also flexing, for a prolonged period of time.
Right.
So we would hold the pose for 5 seconds, then 8 seconds, 10 seconds. So this is what I'm talking about, that isotension that you maximally contract. Yeah. And that's what brings quality and muscle control.
What do you think is going on a physiological level, Milos, when you do that isometric contraction?
I mean, physiologically, I could not really give you some scientific hypothesis, right? Because that's a Joe Weider isotension principle that we learned back in the 90s. Just contract
it works,
the muscle.
but no one seems to know why it works, is what I'm saying.
Sorry?
It works, but no one really understands why it works.
Nobody, physiologically, of course, trained muscle is going to, show you lower the body fat levels, and then if the muscle is trained,
you think it's a nervous system issue? Like the nervous system is becoming more active in being able to recruit more fibers to bring in more detail? In other words, if you can activate more muscle fibers because your nervous system is better in tune or has a better mind-muscle connection, you might be able to flex more muscle fibers,
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, neurological impulse, of course, is always there, but then there's a different type of contractions, right? We can go for this 5 to 10 seconds, just using phosphocreatine, for the energy system. Then we can, go for prolonged. My thing is, if I do train for higher repetitions, I would lose a lower load. I would prolong the time and attention and squeeze the life out of it, really. So if he would train, and normally you can do 10 reps with whatever weight, right?
Yeah.
Now with the same weight, I say, Dave, do anything possible to make 6 reps impossible.
Right.
So how are you going to do it? Something that you can do 10 times normally. So now you have to fail honestly, mentally and physically on the 6th rep. You're going to have to contract the life out of that muscle.
Right.
And this is what I've seen, big improvement in quality in most of the guys. And this is pretty much how I trained. So I really think that Ramy doesn't train that way. I don't know. I might be wrong. And I'm a big fan of Ramy. I mean, since he came back, he came on a scene. I said, this is Mr. Olympia waiting to happen.
Milos, it's hard to tell a guy who's got the most muscle in all of bodybuilding how to train, right? Because it's like, I got more muscle than everyone else. And so it's hard to give someone like that a critique because he's going to just like laugh at you and say, I have more muscle than everyone. I obviously know what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, but on the other token, yes, you build the big muscle volume. Did you create quality striated sharp muscle? No, you didn't. So would you like to? So obviously one principle that made you big and it keeps you big, it's wonderful. But now everybody in the world is saying the same thing that you and I. He needs more quality, conditioning. And not just conditioning. Okay, let's talk about what goes in conditioning, right?
Yes,
aspect.
Okay.
So it's not just being super lean. Yeah, you have to be super lean, and that's what you get with the weeks of dieting. And in contest preparation, you should try to maintain all the muscle so you don't lose, all the muscle that you work so hard for. So this goes with the diet, 10, 12, 16 weeks, doesn't matter. That at the last week of the show, what would you like to present on the stage? So you want to have a maximal glycogen storage and intracellular hydration, right?
Right.
And then reduce all the subcutaneous water. That would be winning presentation. But what I've seen, some people, when you fully load them with glycogen, start losing the conditioning. And that striation, so somebody had to be backed off. I didn't see any striation on Ramy before anyway, so how would I prepare him? He's going to beat him with overwhelming size, yes, and the conditioning. If he doesn't have those striations already, I don't think he's going to lose them by being just fully loaded with glycogen. It's just going to be bigger version of, Ramy, but he would need to be absolutely, completely dry. So the factor of striation and quality, I don't know if you can, bring it within a week. But
you've seen a lot of big guys, though, in your time. You've worked with a lot of big guys. I mean, Ramy's no taller than Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates and all these other guys. He's ostensibly bigger, but I mean, what weight do you think Ramy needs to be at, prior to you carving him up? Where do you think is the right weight for Ramy? I mean, we know we've heard huge numbers over 300 pounds, but we never see a good version of Ramy whenever he's over 300 pounds. What do you think he realistically needs to come down to?
I just heard you talking to Chris Aceto, and you ridiculed the amount of weight that they say Big Ramy is, like 150 kilos or 140 kilos. It's hard for me to believe that he is 150 kilos. And I was getting some messages before, 155, he stepped on the scale. 150, he's 5'11". What is 155 kilos is 330 to 40 pounds.
It's crazy.
So I don't know if this is exaggerated. So I wouldn't even know, what was his weight in the last Olympia 2018? I wouldn't know. I had no clue.
I think they're saying 300 pounds or something like that. I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, so does he need to be any bigger? No, we are all talking. He needs to be slice and dice. I haven't seen him, flat ever. So would I in preparation risk to maybe achieve flatness just to see how lean he can get? Yes, and then I would need to see how long do I need to just fill him up a little bit.
Right.
You know that I'm guilty of overcarbing many people, before.
Right.
Yes. I mean, I'm guilty of it, and let's speak about it. When you go to Mr. Olympia contest, and it's small little differences can make a huge difference, right?
Right.
I'm talking about this Dennis Wolf example in 2007, right?
Yeah.
I knew that for sure, if he's not fully blown, he's not going to get the attention. Same thing, Gustavo Badel back in 2004. I mean, he wasn't on a radar to be top 10, right? To say, okay, you have to get in this crazy condition and fullness, and then you're going to attract attention. So some guys need to be. So I push the envelope,
Right.
and then sometimes, when you risk, sometimes it goes overboard. But there are different factors. With Ramy, I would not risk, no way, because he has more size than anybody else, and he has a tight midsection.
Mm-hmm.
I would go for maybe somewhat depleted look. And I'm going to mention in 94 Olympia. If you agree, Dorian was not really at his best at Olympia 94. No. He could have easily lost the title. So we go to European tour to Spain and Germany, and Dorian looked, way improved, fantastic. And when I talked to him, he said he had to deplete into the show. He actually depleted and looked fantastic because he was overspilled at the.
That's when he tore his bicep, right?
Yeah, that's it. But the conditioning, 95, Dorian's Olympia conditioning was probably the best conditioning I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. One of those Andreas Munzer kind of dryness and fibrotic.
He was good in 96 too. Very good in 96.
Sorry?
He was very 96? Good in 96 too.
Yeah. 95. Dryness-wise, I think was the driest, the grainiest, hardest Dorian was. 96, he was very good, but a little bit bigger. And then 97, we all agree he didn't deserve to win. He was way too big and spilled over. But, so here it is. Would Dorian spill over look better? No. Kind of depleted would be better look for him. Now, Ramy has a structure and a X-frame and a V-taper and a six-pack, to kill for. He needs to go with that conditioning. So I don't know who is working with him right now. If I would be his coach, of course, I would test him like 3 weeks out and 2 weeks out and probably week out with a similar approach that I would do it on the day of the stage.
Right.
And just, monitor how much I can push it. I wouldn't push too hard with him.
I'm all I can do is relate to myself, and obviously I didn't have Ramy's structure. I wish I did. I'd probably be Mr. Olympia. But when I was over 300 pounds, a lot of people said, "Dave, you should compete at this weight. You have striated glutes, But I didn't have that dry, grainy, detailed look until I got down to under 275. Excuse me. So that's a big difference for me to look. Some people say you should compete at 300, and then I actually have to get down to almost 268 to compete. That's a huge difference, and the difference is in the details, like you're saying. Judges like to see details. They like to see separated muscle. Just because you have glute striations doesn't mean that the rest of your body is showing the detail that it needs to show. I think that's an important thing people lose track of. They see some glute striations, they think, all right, I don't need to lose any more weight. I'm huge. I'm going to be the biggest guy on stage. I'm going to win the show. And you might look good in the gym like that. But when you get on that stage, every little flaw shows. His back is not as tight. He's not showing as much detail. His abs could be they look a little like blurred. We're talking about the best in the world. What would you do, Milos, diet-wise with Ramy to get him to that look that we're talking about now? I don't know what he's eating now, but I'm assuming he eats a conventional bodybuilding diet. What would you do diet-wise with him? Do you think that would work?
Well, first I would have to know if he is a carb guy or a keto guy. There's a differences. What is his normal diet? But when I work with my clients, I always say, okay, I need to know what is your previous diet and what you respond good to. Of course, ideally, I was competing 72 times as a pro, 110 times in my life, right? I was year-round in competitive condition. So I did not allow body fat to accumulate.
Right.
So therefore, and I was always on high carbs and low fat. I understand that you were many times on a higher fat and lower carbs, which I agree with you. The best way to lose body fat, would be with a keto diet.
Right.
That's no question. So depending how Ramy ate before,
right.
And if he's on low, I would make sure first let's strip off all the body fat, and then when we strip off all the body fat, let's thin the skin to the point of being a cellophane.
Right.
So because this kind of condition, everybody appreciates conditioning, and you have so much size. You did mention many times before how people are, overthinking and think, oh yeah, I'm going to lose the muscle. Everybody is on pharmaceutical protection, anabolic and anti-catabolic, right? Pharmaceuticals, they're not going to lose much muscle, right? It's not just, are you going to suffer enough to get that condition? No. I've seen your guru talk with about conditioning back in the days, and John Meadows and other guys jumping in. Yeah, I really don't think that people are dieting hard enough nowadays. So I would be just like Nazi, I would be there. Okay, this is it. You have to go to the certain point, like 6 weeks out. 6 weeks out, you're supposed to step on the stage and look better than you were 2000 Olympia. Yep. Okay, if you're 12 weeks out and 10 weeks out, 8 weeks out, not getting there, okay, I would lock you up in the house and not give you any food. No, but seriously, because I've been many times preparing some people that, okay, oh yeah, you put him on a keto diet, 5 days later they come like 10 pounds heavier. Like what? So I would have my spies and say like, yeah, see me in Sizzler, So I don't think that Ramy would cheat. I don't know really. I think Ramy is a very nice gentleman just from seeing his interviews. Yeah. But he has to understand this. His potential to be the number one in the world, and if you become number one in the world, you're making millions. Right. So financially, let's put it this way: you're creating the legacy, and you are so close. So if I'm his coach, I would torture him as his. No, I would torture him to achieve that. As his best friend, not as his kiss-ass bystander. Right. Okay. Right. Yes, man. You can't be a yes man. You have to, push.
Think about this, Milos. Let's put this out on the table. I bet you, if you ask Ronnie Coleman, did you ever cheat on your diet? He would say no, right? Because Ronnie Coleman was a machine. However, we've seen the videos. How much barbecue sauce was he putting on his chicken every day? He didn't think that was cheating. He just thought that was the flavoring. But he was putting probably 150 grams of sugar on every meal that he was eating. So that's why he was doing 3 hours of cardio a day.
Yeah, but you see, I'm sure that Chad Nichols at the time, he knew. Yeah. So he would consider probably, okay, he's going to put like, half a bottle of this ketchup or barbecue sauce. So I'm going to reduce his carbs,
Or they just gave him a ton of cardio. I mean, ridiculously speaking, do you think Ronnie Coleman really needed to do 2.5 hours of cardio a day? Probably not. But to eat that kind of barbecue sauce, you got to do 2.5 hours of cardio, right?
Yes, but then,
he liked it.
Jay Cutler, I remember back in the day, he also said he was going up to three hours of cardio. Yeah. I mean, back in the 90s, also in the beginning at least, I would do 2 workout sessions and 2 cardio sessions initially. Later, I didn't need the cardio because I was lean, so I stopped it. But,
But why are these guys afraid to do cardio nowadays? You suggested they do 45 minutes. They think they're gonna lose all their muscle doing that. You and I know, Milos, that you could deplete guys down to looking almost like as flat as a pancake, and within 1 day you can completely fill them up again. If you had to.
Dave, you're breaking up.
Oh no! I said you could deplete someone down to almost nothing, to they're like flat as a pancake, and it only takes 1 day of eating, and you restore their bodies completely, especially when you're on a lot of drugs and, like you said, chemical protection.
Yeah, I mean, I lost you for a little bit, but I heard the end of it. I know that, for example, your principle, you didn't need 2 days to fill them up. You can do it in hours or 1 day, right?
Right.
So I know that I can fill up people within a half day, yes, for sure. But my approaches back in the day was, to maximally load the glycogen. And I worked with some smaller guys, and I think this might be interesting for hear it. I mentioned it before the show. I was always going for this crazy conditioning. I just posted on my Instagram one of the pictures for this conversation. My 1988 conditioning, it was insane, right? So this kind of dryness I wanted to always accomplish. And I think 1994 at Olympia, I accomplished very similar dryness to that one. And I placed nowhere. I was like 13th. And I go to European tour, fill up, and I was beating Porter Coachella, who was top 5 at Olympia in all of the shows. And then I come back to Weider office for a photo shoot. And Joe Weider, as soon as he saw me, Milos, why didn't you look like that to the Olympia? You would be a top 6. And I really, at that time, I said, like, man, I'm so out of shape. You know, what is he talking about? Because I didn't feel the same, that conditioning was. But then I looked at the Polaroids and say, my God, you know, I would give this guy victory over the other depleted, super dry, because now with the fullness, I created the more illusion of a size, more aesthetics, more. So smaller guys, might have a benefit of, trying to fully load the glycogen.
Right, gotcha.
We're talking about Ramy, so big guys like Ramy is probably better off not risking, not going for that little extra, you know. You are full. I mean, like Dorian was depleted in Spain and Germany, beating Kevin Leveroni, who was phenomenal at the time. You know, this is a ticket for Ramy, because let's see who is Ramy's biggest rival. It would be
Bonac.
Bonac, William Bonac. So where does Bonac beat Ramy? On a conditioning and a detail. Right? But Ramy is beating him in this crazy V-taper structure. You know, the upper body is going to just, dominate. I mean, he opens up the lat spread and, or front relax, rear relax pose. You know, the Bonac cannot match him because he just, narrow. He cannot, get Ramy. So these things equal right now. Conditioning. Ramy hasn't shown best condition yet, and William Bonac repeated very good condition time after time. So he's going to be on. So whoever is working with Ramy, I hope they're going to go for somewhat depleted and super dry look. Because he has plenty of size, and as you know, smaller. Once you are more ripped, detail makes you appear bigger.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Well, Milos, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your feedback on Ramy and what you would do. And I think that, once again, these discussions that you and I have are always very interesting. They're thought-provoking. A lot of the viewers love them. They want more of it. So I know we'll have you back again. Hopefully, we'll see you out in, obviously, in Columbus, Ohio. You'll do the wrap-up as you always do with us. And hopefully we'll be talking about how Ramy finally brought the best look of his career to the stage.
Yeah, let's hope. I hope for him. I hope for all the guys competing, of course. Let's everybody bring the best, and then let the best man win.
That's it.
I would just say my last 3 Olympias, 97, 98, 99. If you look at the lineup, everybody was in top condition. So, this is how it is. You're going into the show. I'm going to be honest. Going in all those shows, do you think that I could ever have a mindset I'm going to win the show? I knew that I'm going against these guys that are better than me, right? And I would just hope maybe somebody's going to be a little bit off, right? But nobody was off. So every time when I was going, I just, I have to face my destiny. Nowadays, there's like 90% of the field is off. So if you're on, like Patrick Moore, created
how would Milos Sarcev at his best done at the Olympia in 2019?
Which year?
Past year's Olympia. How would the best Milos Sarcev had done at the 2019 Olympia?
It's hard to say that because you're so.
Well, what do you think? Top 3?
I think I could have challenged for a top 3. I think so.
I agree. Well, Milos, we'll see you out in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Okay,
and guys,
one time we have to do that insulin debate, because a lot of people are asking me, this is really a topic that we should revisit. So it will be interesting.
The next Guru Talk, I promise, will be insulin with Milos. As long as Milos doesn't go to China and get quarantined over there or something like that.
All right, there you go.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time. I'm Dave Palumbo from Milos Sarcev for another Guru Talk.